All right, Matt, so after our drive on the first hole, we kind of find ourselves, we just carried the bunker here on the right. Kind of got a tough lie here, not a shot you face on the range ever. Tell me what you're thinking. Ball below your feet, branch straight in front of you, so you're going to have to go a little left. What's the game plan here?
Definitely gonna lay up. Usually like to have like 100 yards it in. So yeah, just to lay up back into the fairway.
Yep. So do you know what the tendency is for the ball to do when it's below your feet like this?
It's supposed to go to the right, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to come out with a little bit of a cut, left to right shape. So you want to aim a little more left of your actual target where you want the ball to end up.
Okay.
All right?
Yep.
All right, go ahead and hit the shot. Get that pre-shot routine in that we've been talking about. See how that kind of cuts off that hill a little more?
Yeah, cut more than I thought.
Yeah, so your divot's good here. If you see your divot, it's pointing to where you're going. It's just kind of maybe a little bit of a cut swing with the lie, kind of overdid it. But you're not in bad shape. Still have a wedge coming in to a par 5. Let's go check it out.
Okay.
All right, Matt, so we're here on the second hole. This is a tee shot a lot of people find a little tricky. Do you ever find yourself kind of struggling off the tee here?
This is one I'm usually pretty comfortable with, but sometimes it does get away from me.
Yeah. So it's easy to do that with the out of bounds left and the water right, water short. But one thing I want to go over here is just kind of the mental game that we talked about. We want to think of this shot as we're going to step up, and the left side of that fairway is going to catch our ball, leave us a number coming in. So what club do you usually hit off the tee here?
I usually hit driver and aim at the bunker. I know that it's not going to go in the water, but I usually do go through the fairway.
Yeah.
But it just kind of eliminates that water interplay.
So with your distance, why don't we try a 2-iron? That kind of eliminates the bunker and the right miss and kind of gives us something that we can put in play a little more consistent.
Okay.
Remember, routine, make everything normal. Left side of the fairway just catches your shot. Now, let me ask you something. So, rather than hitting driver, hitting that, is that more something you do in a tournament situation, the 2-iron or
Yeah.
the driver?
Yeah, I usually play 2 different games. When I'm playing more for fun, I'll just kind of go for everything. And then in tournaments, I usually play more safe.
So, what are the benefits of creating a game plan and just kind of hammering that down and practicing? What are some of the benefits?
I guess it's easy to fall back on when things go wrong.
Yeah, so it just gets you more used to those kind of situations rather than hitting driver and having 40 yards coming in the tournament where it means something. You're never going to have that, so you'd rather be able to practice and hit. So even when you're playing for fun, not playing for a tournament, practicing the shots that you will be in a tournament just gets you much more comfortable and kind of creates that routine and comfortability out here that you don't get because golf's different every time. But practicing those shots when you're not in tournament will definitely get you more comfortable and ready to shoot those.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so we're here over a tee shot. Let's see, where's your starting line and what kind of shot shape are you looking for here?
I mean, something like this, I would try and aim, well, I'd be trying to start over that light blue pole, kind of going towards that yellow pole in the back.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's typically how much I cut it, maybe like 5 or 6 yards.
So let me ask you something. When you're on the range, do you look at it as you're hitting it over the pole, or do you try and envision a fairway? Or
I'd look more at just at the poles.
Yeah. All right, so how about we envision the first hole here at Hackwood.
Okay.
Kind of goes a little bit out left to right up there. Let's envision that, since you said you missed a cut, let's envision that as the left side of the fairway and the right side of the pole is the other end of the fairway. Just have you start left side of the fairway, have it fall right to the middle.
Okay.
All right, a little bit of a straight ball.
Yeah, that's my tendency. Is almost to pull it sometimes. Well, if it's not to slice, it's to pull it.
So we will. Let me ask you another question. When you line up and you want to get your start line, what do you just kind of feel your way, or what kind of steps go into that?
I don't really. Well, I do think about it, but not too much. I
Yeah.
focus more on my target with
So
my swing than I do my
You're
stance.
very feel based when it comes to lining up. I'll give you something here to try. What I like to do is I like to pick out an intermediate target just to double check your line, because it's very difficult when you're standing up to kind of feel yourself, because your shoulders, your feet could all be pointing different lines. I like to pick out a ball about a yard or so in front of the ball I'm about to hit.
Okay.
Line it up where you want it to start it. That way you know your club face is square to that target.
Okay. It's almost like that leaf right there, like would be on line with
Yeah,
target, right?
perfect. Yep. So go ahead and give that a try, see if we can get that started on target a little bit better. All right, a little bit cut, but that start line is much better.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. All right, so that's going to close it up for the day. Just to go over a couple of quick things. We know every hole starts with a tee shot, whether it's a par 3, whether it's an iron off the tee. Just give me some examples of when you would like to not hit driver, kind of shy away from having to hit driver.
I mean, sometimes holes that are like in that like 420, 430 area, I hit it a decent way, so I'm not afraid, especially because I have that miss, to hit an iron off the tee with my leg. So driver, I try to keep in the bag as much as possible.
Yeah. So one thing that I like to think about is if you have a certain number, playing to a number when there's trouble, just to give yourself comfortable on a hole that usually makes you uncomfortable. That familiarity of I can hit this shot, or if that 2 iron's a fairway finder, I know I have this shot in the bag to get to this number. Another thing is just remember we're talking, don't bring that negative thought process over your shot. And then one more thing we can get into a little bit. Do you have a pre-shot routine?
I do, but it varies. It's
Yeah.
not really too consistent, but I do always try to have some sort of game plan going into every shot.
So that's the most important part of the tee shot to me before the whole routine getting into it. Is going to make you more comfortable on shots that have trouble. And tee shots 10, there's always usually some kind of trouble somewhere there. Just that pre-shot routine, getting it down, getting something familiar in an uncomfortable situation makes you a lot more prepared to hit the shot. All right, and what's one thing that you're going to take away that we learned today, use it in your practice sessions, maybe out on the course?
Definitely that aim part. When we looked at it, I didn't notice how far off my stance actually was.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and start picking targets, like that yard in front of my ball, like you said. It's just simple enough to look at, because sometimes I don't really know if I'm aimed bad or not.
Yeah,
so that
the
might
thing
be
is,
good.
your hips, toes, and shoulders could all have different aim points based on how you set up. So knowing where that club face is, if you can kind of cheat, and get a little bit of a head start, and you know where that's facing, that's a big part of the tee shot. And every shot, really.
Yeah.
All right, well, our next lesson is going to be out on the course. We're going to take you out for 9 holes, and
All right.
look forward to it.
All right, thanks, Mike.